Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
Avast me hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I be your captain, Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me as always is me's first mate and skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey Mozzie, welcome back to another episode of Full Stream Ahead. Tonight's episode, in a land of sand and mist and spice. From the desert comes a stranger. Chapter 6, The Book of Boba Fett. Mysteries are explored. Boba Fett learns new information. Our director, of course, is Dave Filoni.
Oh.
Yeah, another Dave Filoni joint on this one. Gotta get our writing credits right here, because there's a whole controversy about our writing credits here in a minute. Jon Favreau, of course, gets our written bio along with Dave Filoni, because those two, they like to get their Star Wars action figures and make them kiss. Of course, apparently, ooh, wow. So Jon Favreau is getting the Book of Boba Fett created by credit, based on Star Wars by George Lucas. And hardest working person in show business this week is Noah Clore, our staff writer.
Does somebody have a problem with him getting a created by credit? Is that
No. So I guess, and I can't remember if I believe it's Cobb Vance. In the credits at the end, they didn't say Cobb Vance created by this writer. I believe that's it might, because I don't think it was Cad Bane? Is it Cad Bane or Cad Bane, Tristan?
Cad Bane with a B.
Cad Bane with a B. So, but I guess Cobb Vance is from a novel. And I guess the writer said, they should have credited me as the creator of Cobb Vance. Well, that's a good question, Tristan. I've never read the novel, so I don't know if the Cobb Vance we're seeing in Book of Boba Fett is the same Cobb Vance that was in the novel.
I mean, I'm assuming it could be, but are they making a stand saying that no, you didn't create it, no, you don't deserve it, or was it just an oversight that's easily fixable?
It might have been an oversight. Honestly, I think the issue is that there's just so many people that are credited in these creator credits that the credits get long, And I guess that's what you can always say, is that when the credits get long, they start to decide what credits get stuck in there.
Hey, squeaky wheel and all, this guy will get added back on, so that's good.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's fine if that's what they want to do. But one thing I will say about this episode of Book of Boba Fett is this is the second episode in which Boba Fett really isn't in it.
No.
In fact,
they could have had a cardboard cutout of Boba Fett, and it would have worked just fine.
Here's what I'm going to say. I don't think that is any kind of statement about Tamara Morrison as an actor.
No.
I think they just really wanted to jam this Mandalorian plotline to set up the next episode of The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
so we knew what was going on.
And it's almost like, back in the election days, when Trump would show up to a lower rung politician's event and be like, hey, look, like, hey, so like I'm sure Tavera Morrison welcomed it. Hey, come lend credence to this world that we've created and show everybody, see, we're in the same world. So I thought it was a welcome thing for everybody.
Oh, no. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. No, but it's, I guess the problem at a certain point is because, they have gotten a lot of flack. Here's the problem with the Book of Boba Fett, basically in a nutshell, is that The Mandalorian was this great story, and it opened up this opportunity to tell this great Boba Fett story. But the problem is that the Boba Fett story takes place concurrently with the Mandalorian story. So as a result, in order to tell Boba Fett's story, you have to go back and retell all these points of Boba Fett's evolution and characterization, which is great. But as a result, cinematically, it gets a little bit disjointed. And I think that's one of the biggest problems for Book of Boba Fett right now, is that,
So
they're
these two
trying to do all these
episodes are
things.
just like duct tape trying to piece the thing together.
Yeah, well, these two episodes just sort of highlight how perfectly encapsulated The Mandalorian was. But again, it's because they didn't have to do any backstory. Like, The Mandalorian wasn't trying to build out lore for The Mandalorian. You got to go as you went with The Mandalorian and say, oh, this is The Mandalorian's lore, It's like I said, at some point someone's going to do a fan edit where all of the Boba Fett stuff is told continuously. So you're going to get Boba coming out of the Sarlacc pit. Boba meeting the Tuskens, and all this stuff.
That sounds
and then
fun.
Boba, and then you're gonna splice in the Mandalorian stories that Boba Fett was a part of. And then you're going to have it end off at Book of Boba Fett, and then it's gonna make a lot more sense. Because you have these two competing characters, the old Mandalorian and the new Mandalorian, and they're all, and that's the problem we have here. But this one, we've got basically the plot line here is that they need foot soldiers. And that's, you can buy muscle. Foot soldiers are a little harder. They've got their little gang, but they don't have like a network of people to defend what they have.
They don't have cannon fodder.
They don't have cannon fodder. And it's, for lack of a better word, that's what they need. They need a bunch of cannon fodder.
Right.
They need people, what they need is they need people willing to fight for what they have against what is coming.
Right. It's easier to have cannon fodder with a corrupt enterprise. It's easier to motivate people to be cannon fodder when you hold something over them.
Well, when you're a drug dealer, you can pay a lot more people.
Well, that, and you have a lot of people that are just, it's like, hey, I'll erase all your debts. You got to come do this one thing. And then it's like, okay. Then your back's up against the wall. You're motivated to be an expendable. Maybe I won't be expendable. Maybe I'll be the one to make it out of it. But you can start having those conversations with yourself if your back's up against the wall. Hard to do that when you're trying to run things all fair and square.
But first we get the Grogu story. Because that's how we ended the last episode with The Mandalorian, which I have to go see a friend. And we get him, he goes to where this Jedi temple is, or where it's being built. And we see that they've got the little droids, little construction droids.
Which that seemed like the silliest thing in the world to me. Isn't he a Jedi? Why does he need to create these fancy robots to lift block by block?
Wait, he doesn't create the robots. He has them delivered.
No. But why is that necessary? Why does he need to? He can just go, and the rocks would coalesce in the shape of a school.
Because it just seems hard work.
It just seems so like some of their like technology. I guess that's part of the charm of it. For being as advanced as they are, some of their technology is so like in the spirit of steampunk, like complicated on purpose just to flex, Well, like look, we made giant ants to do a minimal task.
Construction droids seem like a really logical idea, quite frankly. I mean, if you were to build a robot, probably the best thing you could have them do is build stuff. Because build stuff tends to be relatively modular. They can assess what shape it is, know where it goes. And that's the thing. It's like the best things for the droids to do are, the pit droids who fix cars and building droids that just build buildings.
They seem really inconvenient. They seem like a lot like, look at this complicated, inconvenient thing that we can build, It's like a swarm of giants.
It's a complicated, inconvenient thing we're building, which is a Jedi temple.
No. I meant the ant robots.
No, I thought they were very, very practically designed. I think they were the most practically designed.
I thought it was like something like you buy in one of those airplane catalogs, that seems over the top unnecessary, but just like, it's like, we have ants that carry a block at a time.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm just going to say that I think that here's what I'm going to say. Like, probably in like the ancient lore of the Jedi, it was the Jedi's move the stones and all this kind of stuff and that. And maybe, maybe there's even a point in that about taking the shortcuts. Cause that I think is kind of the crux of this. But
if you're arguing against a shortcut, isn't that a shortcut?
No, I'm not arguing against the shortcut. What I'm saying is that maybe this is a shortcut that Luke is taking. And because he wants to get his school up and running. He wants to rebuild the Jedi Order. And if maybe there is a deeper legend to be unearthed from this, it's that you can't just rebuild the Jedi Order. As I said, this is the thing. This is why I actually, you can hate me forever, but I think the Rise of Skywalker, for all of the characters that didn't get their time in the sun, fine. A lot of characters don't get their time in the sun. I thought the end of Rise of Skywalker was perfect, where she just says, I am Rey Skywalker. And she is saying that I am not per se being a Jedi, I am not per se being anything, I am rebuilding from the start. I'm putting the past away, and I'm rediscovering what this relationship with the Force is really meant to be. And in this way, the idea that Luke is cutting corners, very much like Luke, very much like Anakin, very much, as Ashoka says, so much like your father. Ahsoka. Isn't there an H in there?
It comes before the S.
Comes before the Ahsoka. Okay, yeah. Well, there you go. And so he, it's an interesting way the whole storyline plays out. And in that sense, and this is the thing. I think everyone wants things to be what they want it to be. Cause this is what as I'm sure you know, it's like the whole cliffhanger of this episode isn't, surprisingly enough, isn't the bar blowing up.
No. What's Grogu going to choose?
What is Grogu going to choose? Which sadly shows how much more invested we are in Grogu's story than we are in Boba Fett's story. And what people have suggested is that was the old way of the Jedi. That's Luke doesn't understand that, it's his connection to people that makes him powerful as a Jedi. And there's no stating that, and I'm not stating that that's not all true. I just think that people are misinterpreting what Luke is doing. What Luke is actually doing is giving Grogu the choice Anakin never got. Because Anakin was told by Yoda, there's too much fear in you. You really can't be a Jedi. I'm sorry, kid. You tried, you're good, we love you, but I'm not gonna train you to be a Jedi. It's not gonna go well. And then all of a sudden Obi-Wan says, well, I will train him. He will be my Padawan, and yada yada. Well, actually, I think Qui-Gon says that first, and then Obi-Wan does it. And at no point does anyone ever ask Anakin, hey, Anakin, what do you want to do? Do you want to never see your mom again? Because that's what's going to happen. And that's literally what Luke says to Grogu. It's like, look, I want you to understand, if you choose to be with me and be a Jedi, you're probably not going to see the Mandalorian again. Because I know you think it's just a day, but for other people, that's a lifetime. And what you choose is going to have this weight and this value. This is called informed consent. This is what Doctor Strange doesn't do with Peter Parker in No Way Home. What the Jedi don't do with Anakin, they don't give him informed consent, where they really go over, look, here are the advantages of being a Jedi. Here are the costs of being a Jedi. And because you're a little bit older, this may or may not be the right choice for you. I want you to have the choice. I want you to say, when you come into this, that I made a choice to be a Jedi.
And it's also, if he decides to do it, he will be more committed, right? He wants, like, if you're going to train, I need you to want to be here. So I'm giving you the opportunity to not want to be here so that you can come to that confrontation with these feelings in yourself and decide. So once you decide we can get to work, I hope you decide it's not like I want you to, whatever, but I need you to decide to be here. He's fed up with him having 1/2 foot out there, 1/2 foot in there. He's like, you got to commit and be here with both feet on the ground here with me. Are you willing to do that? And it doesn't seem like he's been finding any other way to get through to him. And I thought it was kind of sad because it's like you're sitting there going, oh, it'll be bad for him. If he sees you, it'll make it worse. But like, he's force strong, right? He knows everything that's going on with miles around him if there's something there that affects him. And he knew he was there. And as he drives off in his ship, you see Grogu reaching out his little hand, and like it had the same effect. He knew you were there. Yeah. It made it tougher for him anyway. So like you did was prevented that. And probably if he'd have stayed and said, hey, here's whatever, he would have been like a little buoyed emotionally. And then once he left, he would have been maybe okay with that decision. Now he feels in that same position, like he's not actually getting the choice. So when he puts the choice to him, it's almost like he's forcing him to choose the Mandalorian by doing that.
Well, the argument is he's telling him you have to make a choice. And that's the thing. It is a choice. It is a hard choice. Because it's not easy to be a Jedi. If being a Jedi was easy, everyone would be a Jedi. The whole point of being a Jedi is, look, dude, I'm asking you to enter a monastic order where you're going to be, freaking working on controlling your emotions and feeling the Force and understanding your place and your purpose within the Force.
How fair is that to ask someone that young?
He is 50 years old.
Right, but like he's still like, shiny thing. There is a measure of innocence and childlikeness to him that I think puts that decision in murky waters. No.
Well, no, but you have to. It's like this. It's either you let him make a decision, or he doesn't, or you make a decision for him. And what Luke is saying is, I'm going to respect you enough as a human being, as a being as a sentient, as a fellow sentient. I'm going to respect you enough to say you get to make a choice. You get to choose if you are going to take this very, and let's be clear here. Being a Mandalorian isn't an easy path either.
Right.
He can be a sidekick, but he's not going to be a Mandalorian. And the truth is that the Mandalorian is probably going to ask him to be a Mandalorian if he wants to be a Mandalorian. I think even in that,
but at the same time, he'll have that support structure. It's like,
well, he has a support structure as a Jedi.
But their whole thing is, we're not attached to nobody. Right? And it's hard not to internalize that and say, oh, okay, so I'm expendable too. Right? So you're walking into this cold situation, everybody is to themselves, or you go towards the warmth.
Well, actually, one can clearly argue that Jedi are attached to other Jedi. But as Yoda said, understanding that someone is understanding that someone has become one with the Force should not make you sad. We can miss them, but they are one with the Force. That this is the way of things. This is the flow of time and reality. And so that attachment that makes you lash out at the world, which is what the Jedi worry about, is having that attachment, is problematic. It's not because you shouldn't have an attachment to someone, but that you should never let that attachment overwhelm you in your relationship to the Force. Because the point, as I always say, the point of the
But
Force...
if that's the point, then why is it almost like a cult-like separation from your family and your group?
Well, and to be fair, that is a problem of the Old Order.
Right.
And that is a problem of the Old Order. They're not... Here's the thing. The Mandalorian isn't Anakin's mom. He's not a slave on Tatooine. He is living his own life. He is living his best life as best he can. Although
they have shared battle. They have saved each other's lives. There's a bond in that he hasn't built that with Luke yet.
No, not yet. And that's the idea. It's like Luke knows he has a connection, but he has to connect to the Force. And this is the idea. Like, Luke wants Grogu to connect to the Force, to be one with the Force, and to move the Force, and to be a part of that energy. Now, because of Grogu's species, they are uniquely attuned to the Force. He will always have the Force as a part of him, but he will not be a Jedi unless he chooses to be a Jedi.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, he can be a Mandalorian, or he can just be Grogu. He can just be a random tridactyl lost in the universe doing his own thing with, with some Force powers.
Semi-phenomenal, nearly cosmic.
Yeah,
powers.
But you get that scene at the very beginning with this where, Grogu is getting a frog to eat, and then Luke just says, "There's 100 frogs here." And he's basically showing Grogu, if all you want is a frog to eat, there's lots of frogs.
And I think that's the metaphor in what I think he's not so eloquently trying to communicate, is that if you're going to be at one with the Force is everything, right? How can you be aware of the everything is if you're so focused on tiny little particles of consciousness, tiny little particles of being, right? So I think the attachment is not so much about family, but they're thinking on so much more of a broad level. If you want to be one with everything, you can't be focused on little things. You have to really let go and let it in more than letting something go.
And here's the real conundrum of it. Grogu can choose the chainmail. He can choose the Mandalorian armor and go back to the Mandalorian. But is that going to be where Grogu feels best? Or is Grogu going to, in time? Because again, it's a lifetime. A moment to Grogu is a lifetime to us. Right. So when Grogu is a mere 100 years old, and he may meet up with Rey Skywalker in 50 years, and she may say, "Grogu, let's talk about the Force, and let me tell you about what I have learned of the Force, and you can tell me what you have learned of the Force." And they can build their own new temple of the Skywalker Mandalorians, the Skywalkerians, the Manda Skywalkers, whatever they're going to be, the Mandalwalkers. Though that's what I just said. Yes. The Mandalorian in the next 50 years will be much, much older. And, it's just the reality of it. So that's the flip side to the choice that Grogu has, because he can walk away, have adventures with the Mandalorian, and then come back his life will be next week.
Right. Well, that's also true. But I think his life would be way more fun with the Mandalorian. There'd be a lot more adventuring and a lot less sorrow.
Well, no, not necessarily a lot less sorrow.
I mean, there'd be a little bit of sorrow anyways, but he'd be gallivanting from here to here, adventuring from here to here, doing a job from here to here. It won't be a constant struggle beating against like a brick wall saying, "Oh, it's this guy taking power. No, we got the power. No, this got the power. No, this got..." That enterprise just does not seem like where you can find a lot of joy in it. All you're going to find is struggle and pain.
Yeah.
And if you're the type to be like a martyr, it's blah, blah, blah. Sure, go enjoy yourself. But maybe that's not for everybody.
Yeah. I think that is maybe the truth of it at its core. So, yeah. So the idea is it might be more fun being with Mando. And again, it's about your definition of fun. You know, let's not forget, Mando is about to get into the middle of a really big mob war.
Right.
There's going to be lots of people dead by the end of this.
Sure.
You know.
But one is like you're fighting for yourself or you're fighting for a cause. You know, I don't know. The Jedi.
Is this a cause to be the daimyo of Tatooine? Is that
no?
His
cause is to help a buddy.
Yeah,
that's the cause. And, you know, it's like, it's a different mindset when you're fighting to help a buddy or helping this guy or, you know, doing this to make some money versus, oh, you know, we're in the right and you're in the wrong and blah, blah, blah.
Well, no,
you know?
but that's the thing. I don't think that's Luke's Jedi. That's the thing. I think people are over assuming.
I don't know. The Jedi always seem I've never seen a happy Jedi.
True. And
right?
I think that is what Luke is trying to figure out. Luke is trying to, and this is, and again, I think this is what Rise of the Skywalker was really about. Was about realizing that the Jedi Order had, and this is arguably the problem with any orthodoxy. Once it gets too much into its own orthodoxy, once the, hey guys, here's an idea, here's a way to approach things, becomes here's how you must approach things, that is when things get to be problematic. So, from a certain point of view, you know, the problem for Anakin wasn't that the Emperor corrupted him. It was that the Jedi denied him his humanity. And when you deny someone their humanity, when you deny them the right to make a choice. Because for Anakin, the entire thing was, you are the prophesized one. You are the most powerful Jedi to ever exist. You know, you will be this thing. And they never even ask Anakin, do you want to be this thing?
I think they were just too afraid that he would turn into the other thing.
Well,
that's
no,
why
but
they
the
never
thing
gave
is,
him a choice.
But if you give him a choice, maybe he goes back home with his mom, and they become
and then they corrupt him, right? So he was like an atom bomb that you couldn't let fall into the terrorists' hands.
Yeah, but but the thing is that is what Luke is making sure not to do with Grogu,
right?
Because he knows Grogu is very much likely, powerful. He knows how powerful Grogu is. But he also knows that if Grogu is not coming to being a Jedi with a pure heart, then Grogu is not going to be a good Jedi.
Right, and that's not serving the Force, because if you constrain, it's going to fester and fester and grow and explode in bad ways. So even serving the good of the Force is sometimes to listen to what the Force is saying. Hey, maybe this isn't the best way to train this Jedi. You know, maybe the way to Jedi isn't only through you. Maybe you don't have a monopoly on deciding who's a Jedi or not. This person is very attuned to the Force, and if he has a good heart, he will make a good user of the Force. And whether you want to call it a Jedi or whatever the hell you want to call it, you know, serving the Force is more than serving the Jedi.
And I think that is what Luke understands. Yeah. And I think he's getting a lot of flack because he's presenting it in such a way. So is
the controversy that he shouldn't have given Grogu a choice? Is that what?
Well, that he should have let him be. That he should have let him stand with a foot in either world. That he should have let him play with the Mandalorian. Say, well, now back to class, you know, and then make it a dichotomy that he never can have.
No, that's I disagree.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's like you have to pick one or the other. And that's the thing, is I don't think letting him have the chainmail suit, the chainmail shirt, as it were, is going to be a problem if he chooses the lightsaber.
Right.
If he chooses Yoda's lightsaber, and they will put the chainmail shirt off to the side, and Grogu may try it on. And it's a useful shirt. It is a
symbolic moment.
Yeah, but it's the idea, like, which do you want? Do you want to be a foundling, or do you want to be a Padawan? And it's just a simple choice. Both paths are hard roads. being a foundling is not going to be a hard road, or it's not going to be an easy road, because you are going to be asked to sacrifice yourself for the greater Mandalorian culture. We even see that all of the Mandalorians essentially sacrifice themselves, but 3, just to protect.
They go a little far in their own directions,
Exactly. Well, that's the idea. But that is what more noble cause is there than to die for your friend?
Yeah, but technically speaking, right now he's not even a Mandalorian anymore, so he has no creed to it.
Exactly, it's a very complex story.
Right.
But again, that's where the truly wise masters are the ones who can move beyond the code. Like I said, I fully believe the armorer set Jindarin up to say, go reclaim what it is to be Mandalorian.
Yeah, the armorer knew that it was prophesied that someone would say this to the chosen one, and it was like, oh my God, I get to serve this role in the prophecy, and the armorer said it with pride. I thought that was an important moment in their lore to be written.
Exactly, and that's the idea. It's about what the prophecy is going to be, and the fact of the matter is that no one should wish to be a prophet. If the Bible has taught us anything, if the Quran has taught us anything, if any of these books have taught us anything, it is that being a prophet often is a really hard and difficult life that you don't really want to do, and usually has a lot of problems with it. And being the prophesized is no easy walk either. It is a lot of work, and there's a lot of difficulty and a lot of sacrifice, but it's for the greater good, you argue. And in this way, I do think that Grogu may find a way. And like I said, I would love to see at the end of season 3 of The Mandalorian of Grogu meeting Rey on Tatooine and saying, I see that you are a Skywalker. I knew a Skywalker as well. So little Grogu actually talking like a grown up in his little Beskar armor.
How old do you think Grogu would be by the time he runs into Rey?
He'll be about 80. He'll be about a teenager, about the same age Luke was when he went off to Yoda. That's the thing. Like, Luke came to being a Jedi at a very advanced age.
Yeah.
And got really he got Jedi for dummies. But he was good at it. So it's like, okay, it worked because, you were powerful enough as a Jedi that, I can give you the Jedi for dummies. And at this point, Yoda is already questioning where he went wrong. Because that's the thing. It's like everything about every choice that the Jedi had made went wrong because they were focusing on certain things, and these things did not work out the way they had anticipated them to. That they got outmaneuvered by Palpatine, that they got pushed into a corner, and in doing that, things got difficult. And, that is where Yoda is at the end of his life, and he's just trying to give that core of what it is to be a Jedi to Luke, because he knows that all of this artifice and ceremony is meaningless. What is important is, are you connected to the Force, and are you connected by the Force to all things? And if you can be connected to all things, then maybe you will make the right choices. Maybe you will do well. Because, it's that question. It's like, were the Jedi supposed to be freaking knights? Were they supposed to be stabbing people all the time? Or should they have been wise prophets giving guidance to people?
If people come a stabbing, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that I think at a certain level, the Jedi started as just the people that were in tune to the Force, and they could do these great and magical things. And then adventures happened, Right. It's like they were almost like, they were these peaceful. It's sort of like, Aang and the Airbenders show. It's like they were just peaceful and they were monkish and they knew how to do these things. It was a beautiful thing. And then all of a sudden everyone started coming at them, trying to pick fights with them. And then they had to be the warriors. And one imagines that maybe that's something that's an association with the Mandalorians. In this idea that maybe the Mandalorians weren't always so violent, but they were the structured society. And in their moment, when they got to be the best at fighting, then everyone wanted to fight with them,
Or hire them.
And that's the complexity of the universe. And like I said, what we see here in this story is setting up Mandalorian 3, the Mandalorian the third season, which is going to be about this inherent conflict between what the Mandalorians want and what the rest of humanity wants. It's an interesting aspect of this. I think that I'm blanking on my words now. Had an idea and I think I've lost it. Okay.
That's something to do with the meeting at the end where they're planning what they're going to do.
Well,
where Boba Fett finally shows up.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, we have to talk about with Cad Bane.
Right.
Cad Bane. So this is the thing is like it's like these, and this is the thing I always say to people when I'm trying to explain to people that there's a difference between a mob show and a Western. And this show up until now has been, the 5 families and all this kind of stuff. And this like city quiet manipulation behind the scenes. It's a different kind of film than that big expansive Western. And then these last 2 episodes, we have jumped back into that Western. With a build-a-car montage in the middle of The Mandalorian, which was nice. Because that, and for what it's worth, that is the tie between city life and wildlife is the build-a-car montage. Trick out the grease lightning, and that's what we're doing.
Little pimp my ride in the middle.
Yeah, and with Cad Bane. Now, as Tristan has pointed out, there is a history in a deleted scene between Cad Bane and Boba Fett.
But it's a deleted scene, right? So, you're stuck.
I know. So, Cad Bane had a deleted scene.
So, right. So, the deleted scene with Cad Bane he had with Boba Fett.
With Boba Fett. Okay. So in this deleted scene from the Clone Wars, and you have to give this in a certain context, especially with the understanding of who Cad Bane is, because Cad Bane is based off of a gunslinger in the Man with No Name series with Clint Eastwood as the Man with No Name, who at a point befriends the younger gunslinger Clint Eastwood and guides him. But in this context, so Cad and Boba were working together when Boba Fett was a young bounty hunter. And they get into a showdown and Boba shoots Cad in the same way that Cad kind of shoots Cobb, where he sort of like nicks him. But at that same time, that is when Cad shoots Boba Fett's helmet and gives him the dent. So if they continue that lore when they come to this, I have a feeling that they wouldn't introduce this character unless this bit of lore is going to become central to the story next time.
Right, and there wouldn't be a prominent ding in his helmet that they, make sure you notice if they didn't plan to pay it off.
Yeah, you could put the ding in his helmet any way you wanted to, but the fact of the matter is that this, and it's, and of course it's meant to show how powerful, Cad Bane is as a bad guy. And actually, I had made this point to Tristan, because there's this whole thing about how could you dent how could you dent Beskar armor? And actually,
pokey,
Yeah, well, the idea would be that if you had Beskar in your blaster bolt, because you have to remember that blasters have bolts, that there are these things that sort of energize to become what a blaster shoots. So if you had a Beskar blaster bolt and you knew you were going up against a guy with Beskar armor, you might pack a Beskar bolt in your gun.
Or he got into it with somebody that had that Beskar spear. Mm-hmm. So there's other things that exist out there.
Yeah, but this is why the Mandalorians say you don't make Beskar into a weapon, because then our armor is worthless. But nothing prevents other people from putting Beskar into weapons, so, But that's where you get into, there's a whole other thing about secondary adamantium and partial adamantium and adamantium steel, yada, yada, yada. When you get into that, where you get into this idea that, there's certain ways you can make it a little bit stronger, but not quite what we're looking at. So, but in this moment, so that's where we get, Cad Bane, because of course we have our Mandalorian come back to Cobb Vanth, land in the middle of the street and get yelled at by the deputy, or little Deputy Fife of, Freetown. And, makes this point about how, you had to park over there. This is not the park. This is for loading and unloading only, and then, Cobb Vanth comes out. And by the way, I do want to just jump back to that very opening scene with Cobb Vanth in the spice trade. Where he's totally cool with look, dudes, don't do it here. I'm not going to cause you any problem. Just go somewhere else and you do your
literally and take your spice and go, right?
Exactly. It's I'm not even going to cause you problems for it, man. I don't want problems with the Pikes. All I'm saying is, just go back to Mos Eisley. Anything goes there. Everyone knows that.
I didn't see nothing. Yeah. What better proposition could you ever hope for in that situation than I didn't see nothing?
Exactly. And then
go ahead, kick a gift horse in his mouth. See what happens.
Yeah, and then he shoots all three of them, and then he just dumps the spice out on the ground, because it's in the Spice Town, man.
Right.
Which is why I don't think Cobb is dead. Obviously, I think that Cobb got wounded by Cad Bane.
In the shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, the poor deputy's dead.
Yeah, because the deputy was an idiot. I think Cad Bane did Cobb Vanth a favor. You don't need a guy like that who doesn't know how to follow orders, right? He's so high and mighty on his little horse. He's like, oh, I'm a big ticket maid. I decide where you can park. Go inside. Oh, no, I said go inside. No, okay, well, hey, come on out then.
Yeah, but of course, that's the thing. He's sitting there because poor Cobb is worried about this stupid deputy. And it's you have, do as I say. Don't get involved. This is a gunslinging match. Because that's the thing, is I get the feeling that had the deputy not been there, Cad Bane would have just said, you know what? I've said my piece. Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong.
That's it.
And I'm going to leave you be. But, because the deputy had to be there, and Cobb is foolishly trying to protect the deputy when the deputy's causing problems. Because the fact of the matter is, had he been just keeping his eye on Cad Bane, when he draws against the deputy, he could have shot Cad Bane.
Cad would never have drawn, though.
Yeah, it's just such a...
Because he didn't come here to create problems. So much you can tell that he's such a good shot that he took out the three of those guys without a second thought and then chose to shoot him in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Right? That's how much he didn't want problems. He just came to deliver a message.
Yeah. Anyway. Which I guess ties it back to that first episode, first scene too. It's like, I'm not trying to cause problems. I just want to get us to the next episode. Yeah, but that's the whole story. And so I'm interested because the next episode is the last episode and we're going to have to deal with what is presented there. So, yeah, next episode is the last episode. Yeah, well, I mean, for this season, then maybe we'll do more with Boba Fett later, or they'll integrate Boba into more stories elsewhere in the universe. I know, but they're gonna be integrating what goes on in the universe over the next few years because they have to catch up to the Star Wars universe that starts with Rey and finding the Millennium Falcon. So, yeah, well, they're getting lots of good stuff done. And I would say that Star Wars has always had good stuff. There was a fun thing I saw recently was a crossword puzzle, which was what is the best sci-fi series? And you could write in Star Wars or Star Trek, and no matter which one you wrote, like all the other answers would still make sense.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was a really interesting crossword puzzle I saw recently.
It wasn't the New York Times puzzle, was it?
It might have been. I have to double check it.
Oh, interesting. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Because like Wars and Trek has the same amount of letters, and you could and like there were certain words you could put in on these other sides where it was like if you're going to do an E or an R, it worked out really nice.
Man, so, that's a lot of foresight.
Yes, well, that's the fun of making crossword puzzles. Oh, but anyway, so Mozz, any final thoughts on tonight's episode?
No, it was a great episode. I can't wait to see more, and I hope Grogu forsakes the Jedi Order.
See, I don't know what he's going to do yet. I don't know because, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I know everyone's, because that's the thing. Everyone says, well, it's kind of obvious that they have like a little side cockpit in the back of it where they gutted the astromech droid.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but, maybe he's going to go get an astromech, maybe someone else, because that was actually my biggest worry about this whole thing is like, where's he going to put his bounties? When it's a 2-seater, it's...
Well, you technically just need a head, right?
Well, sometimes. Sometimes they want him alive.
Right.
The Republic wants him alive. You can do the mob hits, and it's like dead or alive, and no one cares, but...
Yeah.
Generally speaking...
Depending, if I've got a tool to complete one kind of order, that's the kind of order I'm going to do, You don't come into Wendy's asking for a Big Mac. If you're at a Wendy's, you get a day's double.
Yeah. But I get the feeling and that's, I think, why he wants another Razor Crest, because it had the big room. You could put your own carbonite chamber in there.
Oh.
It was everything you needed, Now he's in this little Porsche, and it's nice.
Yeah. All he can do is the dead or a portion of the dead or alive wanted, bounty.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what he can do, but, and if not anything else, he can also hire himself out as muscle going forward.
Yeah.
Because that is the other thing that obviously you can do. Oh. So, Mozz, if anyone wants to talk about the lore of Star Wars or anything else with you, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And of course, I would like to do this whole shout out because right now we are a part of the Capes and Lunatics network, and of course we are our own thing now. We are no longer part of the Rob Southgate Media Group. But right now, if you would like to talk to me and Mozz, or you'd like to talk to me and Lilith, or me and Phil, or anyone else in the entire Capes and Lunatics group, you can write to us at capesandlunatics@gmail.com. That's capesandlunatics, all one word, @gmail.com. You can also call us, just call us and talk to us, and tell us your thoughts on The Mandalorian, on the Book of Boba Fett, or on some other show that me and Mozz may discuss next. at 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And likewise, you can go to our website or our Linktree account at linktr.ee. That's linktr.ee. Linktree.e/Capes and Lunatics. And that is our Linktree account. There you will find all of our links for all of our shows and our merch and our Patreon, where you can give us some money and vote for the worst superhero movie of all time, or just listen to our exclusive adults-only podcasts. Mm-hmm. Likewise, if you just want to write to me personally, Charlie the Professor Esther, you can do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And likewise, follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet things like Naomi, which is getting interesting. It's a slow burn, but it is burning. Tuesday nights at 9 at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE. Yes, SCR. Look for the 2 E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Mozz. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, me hearties. You have come to the end of another adventurous squall within the squall. I thank you for listening. I thank you for coming. Please tune in next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arr.